This here is a Kumihimo disc, which you can use to make braided cords, like this one. You use a round disc to make a round cord. Kumihimo is in fact a Japanese braiding technique, and the word kumi means to braid, and himo means cord. I'm going to show you how it works to make a braided cord, and we need some strands of yarn for it. I'm going to use these 4 colors, but you can use whichever colors you like. To work out how long you need each strand to be, you first need to measure how long you want the braid to be. So let's say you want to make a bracelet that's 20 centimeters long, you need to multiply 20 by 3. So that's 60. Then you times that by 2 again, because we're going to fold the strands double. If you want a braided cord that's 50 centimeters long, you multiply that by 3 and then double that. I'm going to measure this here. I want strands that are 120 centimeters long. Then do the same with the pink yarn. And now we have our 4 strands, each 120 centimeters long, and I fold them in half, and then I tie a knot at the top. Not completely at the end, but here where we want the braid to start. Now we take the disc, stick the knotted end through the hole, and hold it down at the back with your left hand. And then we're going to distribute the strands around the disc. I'm going to put the yellow at the top. And here on the disc you can see 4 dots at the top, bottom and both sides. And these are going to be our guides. So one strand goes on one side of the dot, and the other yellow strand goes on the other side of the dot. We'll move on to the side and the next dot, and we'll do the same thing. So one strand on one side of the dot and the other on the other side of the dot. Now the bottom. For this particular cord that I'm making, it doesn't really matter what order we place the colours in, on which side, but if you decide you want to braid a particular pattern, then you do need to make sure you order them correctly. Make sure you hold the back with your left hand nice and tight to keep the braid nicely in the middle and to keep the tension on the cord. And now we're going to start braiding. What I find easiest is to start from the bottom. So always start at the bottom with the left strand, and you're going to pull it out to move it up. So always pull it out and then move it to the opposite side. So pull out and place in the opposite notch at the top on the same side. So left at the bottom goes to left at the top. We now have 3 strands at the top. That's 1 too many. So we pull this one here and it goes down to the right at the bottom. Rotate the disc anti-clockwise and repeat the process. So pull out the bottom left strand and move it to the top left. And the top right goes to bottom right. Rotate it anti-clockwise. Left goes to top left. And right goes to bottom right. Turn once again. And even if you're using more strands, if say you want more colors, you would place them here between the 4 points that we're currently using and braid them in exactly the same way. So beginning at the bottom and braiding them as I showed you, just that you will then have a few extra strands. If you want to take a break mid-braid, you could of course see which strands you braided last, because these ones will be the ones here lying on top of the others in the middle. But what I find easier is when I want to take a break, I pull up the top left strand and place it there. I now have 3 strands, which I know is one too many, and this one here has moved up, so I know that I need to start here, and this one needs to go down. And if you carry on braiding just like this, then you end up with this lovely little cord. A really nice braided cord. Here I have a square Kumihimo disc, which you can use to make flat bands. Ones just like this one here. Once again, you start by tying a knot in your folded strands. This is again where we start our braid from. Pull it nice and tight, place it through here, and then we'll distribute the strands. Hold the knot in place on the back with your left hand to keep the knot in the middle, and you'll pull it down a bit to keep the tension in the strands as you braid. We're going to place the 2 red strands up at the top. So one in notch number 4, and this one in number 5. And we're going to place 2 orange ones next to them. So one in number 6, and this one in number 7. We do the same on the bottom, directly opposite from each other. So here we put 2 red strands in 14 and 15, 16 and 17 are orange, and pull your knot into the middle again. And tighten these strands here a bit. That's sitting nicely in the middle again. And now the yellow strands are going on the sides. One in this letter E, and on the other side also in letter E. You can see that it's a bit twisted here in the middle, but that doesn't matter. It will work out fine once you start braiding. We can now begin with the braiding, and we begin at the bottom again with this strand here, and we move it from the left at the bottom to the left at the top. Then we take strand number 4, and it goes to the bottom into notch number 14, where the first strand used to be. Then take the next one along the bottom and move it to the top from 15 to 4, and then 5 goes to number 15, and number 16 to number 5, and continue until you've moved them all. So 6 to 16, 17 to 6, and don't forget this last one, which moves to the bottom, so that once again you have 4 strands on both sides. Then we move the yellow strand from E to number 7, take the yellow strand on the other side, pass it over your work, and move it to E. As you can see, we now have 5 strands at the top and 4 at the bottom. We need to get back to 4 on top, so we move the strand in 3 to E on the side. And that's one round completed, and we're going to repeat what we just did. So this strand moves first and goes to the top, The one next to it goes to 14. This one goes up. This one goes down. And down and up. And this one goes in here. Now for this one here, it moves to the top, and this one moves to the other side over our work. You now have 5 here, so we move the extra one to the side to make 4 again. And if you continue braiding like this one goes over here, then you end up with a beautiful braided band. Look at that.